Yeah, ma'am.
As you noticed, yesterday I tried a new method because I was having problems with my phone. I think I can perfect that, but I really think it also goes very slowly on a multiple question like this. I think I managed to answer 2 questions. So it's debatable if I should redo those 2 questions because I did them. What do you think, Haja? I'll give you the option. The first question was, the parabola was F, and it was show it was show the equation of F of X, let's put my glasses on, sorry, equals to minus 2x squared plus 4x plus 6. And the other question I did is they did say calculate the average gradient on the curve F between basically where x equals 1 and where x equals 3. I think what I'll do them really fast because I did show you them and you could actually look slower. So if I'm going too fast for the first 2 questions, you must just go back and look at my little videos, but I'll quickly go back. Number 1.1, if they say show this is the equation, you cannot use it backwards in any way. You can't say that point, you put it in a equals right, therefore it lies on. That's loaded rapid, very fast. If I'll tell you that in words and the coordinate, obviously that's 0, 6, then you know we can get the equation using the turning point formula, which, as I told you on the phone, you have to learn that. Okay, I told you exactly what to do. So we're looking for A. Just remember the axis of symmetry, right, which is the x equals to 1 line, right? That is coming from the x value of your turning point, the axis of symmetry. That is what you put here, but you reverse the sign. So if it's plus 1, you go minus 1. So whatever the axis of symmetry is, just reverse the sign squared, but keep the y value of the turning point. So the maximum value is 8. Quickly sub in another coordinate, put the x value into x, put the y into y. So we'll put the 6 there, and we'll put 0 there. So 0 minus 1 is minus 1 squared is 1. And you'll see 1a equals 2, bring it over minus 2. Okay, it's a sad parabola, so we're happy with that. Then you just have to end off. This is where I think I was talking and you couldn't see what I was doing. But anyways, I'm learning. I just said you can't times the minus 2 because you're not squaring the minus 2, only the bracket. So you should know that from grade 8. So you just keep that on ice. That is a binomial squared, so it's FOIL. So we're going to get x squared minus 2x plus 1, and then we still have the 8. So you need to just get rid of that bracket. Let's go back to f of x at this point, minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 2 plus 8. Then I just said collect your like terms, and that is how we go. Now there's no mark for this because you'll notice they gave me the equation. All right? At least we can say, well, we got the same as them, so we know we've got 5. I know they said 6. I don't know where they're getting. I would say 1, 2, sub in 3, algebra 4, possibly 5 for their sub in. That is not worth more than 5. Anyways, I did say yesterday, if you get something different to this, or if you have this, at least you have the question, you have it so you can use it for any further questions. All right, but I told you that yesterday, so let's just move on. I'm rubbing it out because, as I said, did this yesterday. Then the average gradient between 2 points on a curve, I explained to you yesterday as well that it's just a straight line, that the gradient of a straight line that joins them. Now, they said at the point where x equals to 1, so you should have noticed that when x is 1, y is 8, should have noticed that. But if you didn't, just go f of 1, replace your x's with the 1, you will get 8. You just wasted 30 seconds of your life. I don't know when x is 3, I don't quite know yet. So that is where you use your f of x notation. So replace the x with the 3. because as I said yesterday on the video, we want to get the output value, which is the y value of the coordinate when x is 3. So we're going to get minus 18, and that was 12 times 6, which was 18, I remember. So we got 0. So that's a coordinate. It means when x is 3, y is 0. All right? Now, I also said on the video, if y is 0, remember your x-axis is the y equals 0 line. So this has to be an x-intercept of my parabola. Has to be. Now you've got two roots, two x-intercepts. One's negative, one is positive. So by conclusion, that is the point B. All right? P was your turning point. So we might as well put it in. So we know this is 3 and 0. So if you were to join that, I'm not going to, a line from there to there, we're looking at the gradient of that straight line. That is how you get the average gradient between 2 points on a curve. So now you can just go M average. Remember, you take the y of the one minus the y of the other over the matching x values. So we're going to, in any order, 0 minus 8 over 3 minus 1. So I'm going to get minus 8 over 2, which simplifies to minus 4. Okay? So that question should be, okay. I don't think we're getting any marks there. I would give a mark for the coordinate B. I would give a mark for that and that. I would make that maximum 3 marks. Yeah, they did. All right, that's where I got up to yesterday. Gosh, it took me 10 minutes. Anyway, having done that, I'm going to wrap this all out. Let's move on. Okay. The next question is, show the equation of the straight line G. Now, I've done G in green for you. They want us to show that the equation so we actually had 1.3, 1.2 we did. The equation of G is going to be, the gradient is a third x and the minus y. Now, you'll notice I told you yesterday on the video, well, actually, I don't think I did. I made a third video where I actually got up to the end of D, and then I realized the video was too long to compress, so I had to scrap it. But I said there's no ways in hell this is a 3-mark question. Okay? There's no ways this is 3 marks. Maximum 2. Because, you see, look, you've got to be careful when they say show this was the equation, because a lot of people just, they don't know how to do it. So they'll say that's therefore this is the equation. But what I would do is, I mean, you can see, look here, to say you are given, I would write, given the y-intercept of G is no. Yeah, I'm listening.
Your video, it's gone.
My video?
Yeah.
Oh, that's because someone's phoning me. Okay, so let's just wait for the phone call to end. I don't know why when someone phones me, the video goes. Hold on. Okay. Hopefully this will stop. Okay, and then what
We go.
Are we back?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I have to press anything or you can see the screen nicely?
No, we can see the screen perfectly. Thanks, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize that when someone just phones me, the whole thing goes back. But do you hear what I was saying? They gave you that. So I would definitely, I would write, given the y-intercept of G is 0 minus 1. I'd even say from diagram. Because they gave this to me, I've got to show them I'm not stupid, right? So the quickest way to do this is, if you think about it, you just don't know your gradient. Well, we know it's going to be a third, but you've got to, at this point, not know it. And since you just don't know the gradient, I could sub in the point 3 naught. There's another way to do it, but put the x there, the y there, and I could solve my m that way. So that's one way of doing it. So you're going to get 3m equals to 1. So m, the gradient, is a third, right? You could have, if you wanted to, you know that this point is 0 minus 1. You could have gone gradient and done the y2 minus the y1. But you have to show it, and you have to show it because they gave you that answer. All right? So personally, that's what I would have done. I would have said 2 marks. If you do it this way, let's just quickly look. I'll show you. So it's going to be -1 minus nothing over nothing minus 3, which is -1 over -3, which is a third. And then I would still say, given the y-intercept, and therefore the equation of G is as follows. Okay? This is a very old worksheet. And it's quite weird. In the old days, they seem to give marks very kind with marks. Whereas in the new days, you got to work harder for marks. The only reason they gave us these two equations is there are a lot of questions coming down, pertinent, needing these. And if you get these wrong, then they're going to have to carry on accuracy. And the thing is, we don't want to do that. Imagine if every matric script is different. You know how long that would take to mark. So the reason they give it to you, let's say you couldn't do that and you couldn't do that. You can carry on with the next question because they've given it to you. But if they do give it to you, you've got to write everything. You know, don't just go from the gradients and then go -1 because that was in the given. So you have to say why you know the y-intercept is -1. All right, the next question, let me guess, question number D, calculate C. Yeah, point C, everybody, I haven't put it in the diagram yet. They will ask this. It's so common to get a parabola and a straight line. That is your point of intersection. So we're going to solve simultaneously. This should be worth about 5, possibly 6. So you just take the equation of your parabola and make it equals to the equation of the straight line. Now there's a bit of algebra here. Don't panic. I'll show you. Okay, so we've got the parabola, and at that exact point, the two graphs are equal. So the parabola will equals to the straight line graph, which is in green. Okay, so my straight line graph is 1/3x minus 1, because at that point they equal. So think of it as if y equals to this and y equals to this, then this equals this. The two graphs are equal. Now, the minute you see that, you guys freak out because of the fractions alliteration. Now, I've told my students, even if you have all these terms and only one of them has a fraction, you make every term into a fraction using a ghost one, and you must know that a third x, that x is in the numerator. So if you didn't know that, I'm telling you that. And then you just flatten this with an LCD of 3. Okay, so you go 1 divided into 3 goes 3. 3 times -2x squared gives me -6x squared. All right, plus 1 into 3 goes 3. So 3 times 4, we're going to get a 12x there. All right, plus, okay, 6 to 3 is 18. Now 3 divides into 3, 1. So it just becomes 1x. And 1 into 3 goes 3. So 3 times -1 is -3. Okay, I think you can see we're going to get a parabola. Let's just bring it all over. -6x squared, we've got a 12x. I'm going to bring that over, -x. I've got the 18, I'm going to bring the -3 over, equals 0. Let's collect the like terms. So we got plus 11x there, and 18, 19, 21. Okay, now the next thing I want to say. Never try and factorize a quadratic trinomial that starts with a negative. Now, I know 50% of you, if not more, will end up using the quadratic formula because your factorizing skills are not that good. But if you are going to factorize it, if it starts with a minus, just take -1 out. So all your signs will reverse to the opposite sign. And if you divide both sides of your equation by -1, it disappears because 0 divided by -1 is still 0. And obviously, if you divide this side by -1, then the -1 just goes. Okay, now again, a lot of you have no idea how to factorize this. So I'll talk you through it. Listen carefully. You look at the last sign. The last sign is negative, which tells me I'm looking for the difference of the number in the middle. I always call that piggy, okay? I try to draw a pig. I don't know if that looks like a pig. We're looking for the difference of 11. From then the first term, you look at the factors of 6. It could be 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. And I put them above a horizontal line. I do not flip these. Below the line, you're looking for the factors of 21. Now, I can tell you my logic says it's going to either be 7 3s or 3 7s. Do you notice you've got to flip the bottom, guys? The probability that it is 1 times 21 or 21 times 1 is almost impossible. I'm not even going to entertain that. All right, so the difference of 11, let's have a look. Okay, so basically I'm thinking to myself, 6 times 3 is 18. 1 times 7 is 7. 18 minus 7 is 11. Ta-da! Right, so circle those and circle those. So you open and close 2 brackets, don't drop your equals to 0. This is actually rough that I would normally put on the right of my page. So these factors in that order go and 6x. These factors in that order must go at the back, 3, 7. Now the fact that the last sign, remember, is negative, we also know we're going to get different signs. Not the same, different. The biggest product multiple gets this minus, the first sign. So who's bigger? Is it 3 times 6x, which is 18x, or is it 7x? It's most definitely the biggest product would be the 18x. So that gets the first sign, which is minus. So therefore, this is a plus. Squished. And I won't be able to see that, so let me write it out again. Now, guys, I'm not arrogant. I would never assume I've done it right because I'm going for 100%. So I'm going to FOIL this in my head quickly. There's my 6x squared plus 7x minus 18x. The difference is minus 11x. Minus some plus is minus, and there's my 21. Okay, now, oh, I went over the 21, and you're probably thinking, what, that is a 21. So I know I'm right, mark. So then x is 3. Now that is very, very reassuring because we know that they are equal in 2 places. Look, we know they're equal there where x is 3. We're looking at this coordinate, which is where x is negative. So we're going to go NA. We don't want that one. So if we take this factor, we're going to get x is negative 7 over 6, which is minus 1 and 1, 6. I'm happy with that. Don't be scared of fractions. I want you to know they're going to be in your graph questions. They love fractions. But if you just don't fear them and know how to solve and use them, they're not difficult. Okay, we've just got to get the y value of this coordinate. So we know that x is minus 7 over 6. And guys, you are allowed to keep your answers as improper fractions. Will you always sub that back into the linear, the straight line graph? All right, so let's go to get the y coordinate, we're going to sub it in the straight line graph, which is 1 over 3 times x. Now, x is a bit of a fraction, but we have Casio's. All right, and then there is your minus 1. So, guys, because of the fact we have Casio's, do you agree that we just have to pick up our Casio and do this, and before you know it, it's done? I've left my Casio over there where I was doing my prelims. So give me 2 seconds. Sorry. Okay, so, I could do this I would enjoy to do this without a calculator. I don't need a calculator because I will go, that's minus 7 over 6 or 18 minus, I'll make that 18 over 18, and I'll get an answer over 18, and it's going to be minus 2 7s of 14, so minus 25 over 18. I think, but just in case I'm wrong, I don't want to be arrogant, 1 over 3 times, up, down, minus 7 over 6, and then just go minus 1 equals minus 25 over 18. See, I didn't need a calculator. All right, so x is negative, y is happy with that answer. And minus 25 over 18, guys, it's just minus 1 comma something. So the whole thing looks pretty cool to me. What you must remember to do, though, please remember, if they say write down the coordinates of C, if you don't end by putting it as a coordinate, you will unfortunately not get full marks. Okay? That is a minus 25. Okay. Very messy, I'm sorry, but so far, are you good to go? Let's see if the screen's still on the board. Yes, I'm happy. You're all still happy? Okay, so let's move on to the next question. I have no idea what it is. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to erase this. I'm going to keep C in case I need it. You never know. But I'm going to erase out how I did it. So if you need to screenshot that, do it. But just know that this is a bit on the messy side. All right? I will try from now to write neater. Sometimes I'm just having so much fun with the maths, I forget to write neatly. All right, do I need that? Okay, I do need it, but it's a bit of a mess. I'll just leave it there. All right, what is the next question? E. Now, question E says, if H, now I know there's no H graph there, so monotonically, they're going to say, if the graph H equals f of minus x, then you've got to explain, which means in words, please, explain how the graph of H may be obtained from f. So basically, how f, what did we do to graph f to become graph H? Do we start with from? Okay, now guys, if you've made x negative, it's a rule. You've got to know that is reflection about y-axis. It's just a rule. So I don't even need to put my brain on. So you're taking f, and it's a reflection about the y-axis. If you're making x naught, that becomes your graph H. So if you have a coordinate xy, and you suddenly make x the reverse side, then that is a reflection about the y-axis. Did this in grade 9 and 10. If you have a coordinate, and suddenly they change the sign of the y, all right, that is reflection about x-axis. Okay, so these are the kind of things you can just learn. So when you get a question like that, you can just fly through it. The reason it's 2 marks is one is going to be reflection and one is about which axis. Okay, so we've done that. Do I need anything? Write down the equation of H. All right, so all we're going to do to get H, this is the last question before I can do the hyperbola one. You're just going to make, wherever you see X, change it to negative. So, sorry, not F. So oh, I know, this is the A, B, C, D, E, F. It's answer F, but we're writing the equation of H. So H of X is going to be, so you're going to go minus 2, open a bracket, make X negative, square it. But I think you can see that's not actually going to change the sign of the term, because this will become positive, which means the negative times positive, it's going to actually remain the same. It's only the middle term that will change, actually, because you'll see that because we're making X negative, that term will reverse to a minus. And the constant will obviously stay the same. So it's a very subtle change. It's actually going to stay minus 2x squared, but minus 4x plus 6. 1 mark. What if they make that 2? Ah, please. 1 mark, guys. So, now, I want to explain how this works. If I took this graph and reflected it over the y-axis, I think you can see it's going to go there, and I think you can see it's going to do this, all right? So you can, okay, it's not any broader, it's the same broadness. But what I'm trying to say is the turning point with the x is now minus 1, y would stay 8, all right? But what I'm trying to see, the y-intercept is the same, but the axis of symmetry, you know, goes x equals to minus b over 2a. Because the sign in the middle changed, that's why it's going from that side to that side. So it makes absolute sense, totally, why it stays a negative, because you can see it's still a sad parabola, shares the same y-intercept, but it'll just be on the other side, so the middle term will reverse. Okay, to me that was an incredibly easy question. If you did not find that easy, then you need to practice more examples because I promise you they could be harder than that. But having said that, the beginning part of the questions are very similar. You know, determine the equation, solve points of intersection. There's always something with reflection or translation, and very often something with domain and range. Okay, I don't know how you found this question, since you've only done one hyperbola in grade 11 when I did it on my video. So if you haven't seen my video, then you haven't seen a hyperbola with an x and then another number with the x. Because last year in grade 10, you only had a number over x plus a number. Now, I'm not going to explain this from scratch. I just said the fact that it's no longer just x means the vertical asymptote is not the y-axis anymore. It's going to move horizontally. Now, you've got to answer the question in the order they want you to answer the question. So the first question says, write down the domain. Now, remember the word domain, that is a flat word. So we're looking at the x element, right? X. Now, if I just show you very quickly to do this, what the asymptotes, always see what your asymptotes are doing. Look, this is not my neat diagram. This is a rough diagram. But the vertical asymptote, okay, they're going to ask me this probably in the next question. You take this and reverse it. So it's going to be x equals to plus 8, not minus 8, plus 8. So the vertical asymptote is going to be there, and the horizontal one stays with the original, there. Okay, so that's y equals 4. So if we're looking at the domain, we're going from negative infinity all the way to positive infinity, but we've just got to exclude that value where x is 8 because it's an asymptote. So it's basically from minus infinity to 8 and then from 8 to positive infinity. But the quickest way to write this, and everything in maths is about time, I would go x is an element of the real semicolon, but x cannot be 8. Now you see, the more you practice, you will know that x equals reverse that is the vertical asymptote, and that would influence your domain, and the horizontal asymptote would actually affect the range because you're going up, down. So they didn't ask me, but the range, if they had asked me, and remember the word range has a tail, so the range is going up, down. And you agree it would go from minus infinity to positive. There's just one value y can't be, and that would be the asymptote of 4. So again, there I would just go y element real, semicolon, but y cannot be 4. But guys, they didn't ask me that. They only asked me that, and that is just my rough picture to self. So I'm getting rid of it. They are going to ask me to draw it. That's when I'll pick up my ruler, which actually I still have, but I will pick it up and use it. All right, so we've got that should be 1 mark, correct. Number B, what's B? Okay, for what values of x? So basically they're saying solve for x.
Ma'am, you have
If
10
x-
minutes left.
How many?
10.
Sorry?
10
That's
minutes.
beautiful. It's like a lot. So they're basically saying solve for x if you let y be naught. Remember, that means y. So if you let y be naught, solve for x. That's what they're asking. So they're basically asking you to get the x-intercept. Just think about it. We're going to end up drawing it. If you make y equals to naught, then am I right? We're looking for the x-intercept of this graph. Right? Are you happy? So if you bring this across, we'll get minus 4, put it over a 1, equals to 8 over. Now remember, a division line is a flat bracket. So if you get more than one term above or below a division line, put it in a bracket. Now you LCD this, or you could do the quick bypass is just cross multiply, and that is how you flatten it. So minus 4 times x minus 8 will equals to just 8. So minus 4x plus 32 equals to 8. What equals to 8 minus 32. minus 4x equals to 8, 16, 24 minus 24, and divide that by minus 4. Yeah, 6 4s are 24, so it's 6. Did they say as a coordinate? No. They just said for what value of x if f of x is 0. That's your x-intercept. Okay, I don't know where to write now because they're now going to ask me, number C, determine the value of p if the coordinate A, x is 0 and p lies on this graph. Now, this is a very clever way. Can you hear me? This is a very clever way of asking you to get the y-intercept. We're going to solve for p, not y, but do you notice we're making x 0? So if we make x 0, this is going to become the y-intercept. But instead of being y equals to, it'll be p equals to. So we answer the question, but when we need to draw it, we're actually unraveling all the pieces. So take your equation, you can change it to y equals to 8 over x minus 8 plus 4. So they want you to put in 0p, they say it lies on this hyperbola. So put that into your x, put that into your y. So p equals to 8 over nothing, make x 0. So you're left with just minus 8 plus 4. So I think you can see that that is going to be negative 1 plus 4, which means to answer that question, p is 3. But just so we know, this is our y-intercept. And the next question, write down the equations of the asymptotes. They normally ask that straight away. So write down the equation of the asymptotes. Everyone look how easy this is. You go x equals 2. You take that number and reverse it. All right? Reverse it. So it's plus 8. And y equals 2 is the q. Okay? So at the end of the day, if you're a person who wants rules, and we say the equation is a over x plus p plus q, then x equals minus p, that is your vertical asymptote, the one that goes up, down, and y equals to the q value would be your horizontal. But I hate rules. I just know to reverse the sign. 1, 1. And then they're going to say, hence, draw it. Now, to draw it, I'm going to just make a note that the y-intercept from this question here, x is 0 and y is 3. And I got that from question C when we had to solve for p. Okay? So I can then rub this out and draw it. How many minutes have I got left now? At least 4, am I right?
You've got 5.5 minutes, ma'am.
5.5. What a gift from God. Thank you. I love it. It's all I need. Crushing rulers. I don't even need 5.5 minutes. Okay. Let's draw the axes with a ruler, because this is the diagram. They don't give you gridded paper, right? From now on, they're just going to say, draw it. So you don't have to measure this. It's not to scale. It must just look pretty. So the vertical asymptote, I would change your color, is 8. So go back to the right. Try and be parallel to that y-axis. Dashed line, please. And you have to label it. This is x equals to positive 8. The horizontal one is the plus 4. So it's not as big. Okay, I'll make it about there. It's not drawn to scale, but I'm making it look good. And label that y equals to 4, because normally they give you 1 mark for your asymptotes. Now, I told you on my first video, if your numerator is positive, you're going to draw your hyperbola, and I'm just going to make y equals to much smaller, because you're going to draw it in quadrant 1 of your asymptotes, and here in quadrant 3 of your asymptotes. Now, let's quickly put the x and y intercept. So cut the x-axis at positive 6. So positive 6 would be about there, 6, 0, all right? And it's cutting the y-axis at 3. Now, if that is where y is 4, y would be 3 is here. So guys, you don't always get the coordinates in the same wing. Sometimes you get one there and one there. But look, it just happens both my coordinates are going to be in this wing. So you go towards your asymptote, through the y-intercept, through your x-intercept, and come as close as you can to your asymptote. Do not go parallel. Do not touch it. Then all I do is I sort of, with my finger, measure that, and I wing the second wing. And just come towards your asymptote. I will label both sides F. It was F. Now you might say, ma'am, do I need a coordinate there? You don't. Because look, 1 mark are going to be for both your asymptotes. 1 mark for, let's say, your x and y intercept as coordinates. And 1 mark for the shape. So for those kids who come like this, happens every year, you will lose that 1 mark for the shape. That is not approaching your asymptote. And for those other kids, those sort of people who run too fast and crash, you know, if you're going to touch your asymptote, we're going to take off the shape. But they don't normally make drawing heavily weighted because you've done all the algebra. They scaffold it. Okay, now we're going to have a Zoom tomorrow. This graph has 2 axes of symmetry. All right, they are both straight lines, and I'll give you a heads up. They're going to go through the point of intersection of the asymptotes, and it's so easy to get them. They always ask for them, and I will do that tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'll also go backwards and show you how we get the equation when we're given certain information from a diagram. But I don't know what you think. This hyperbola is one of my favorite graphs. There's a lot to the parabola. There is not much to this. I've just got to show you the axes of symmetry and then how to get the equation. Poof! Then we can go on to our next graph. So I would imagine, Haja, let's guess, 1 minute and 10 seconds.
1.5 minutes, ma'am. Just about.
So I'm not gonna do what I normally do, start something and end in the middle. I'd rather just say hi. So tomorrow I'll carry on with hyperbola. Friday.
12 tomorrow, ma'am.
11:45, yeah. Haja, just kind of give me a
Heads up,
message.
right before the time.
Yeah, just because I'm forgetful and old. 11:45, and then Monday is a public holiday. So what I'll do, I will give you some homework to do tomorrow that you can do over the weekend and Monday. And then on Tuesday, do we have a Zoom on Tuesday? I can't remember.
So we've said it that Monday, Thursday, and Friday we'll have Zooms, and on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, ma'am, we'll send videos to the group. Okay.
Now, because it's a holiday, I would assume it's Women's Day. You don't want to have a lesson on Monday. Am I right?
Yeah. But if ma'am wants, I can't do Tuesday.
Maybe we should Zoom on Tuesday.
We can go Wednesday, Thursday,
Friday
next week.
Oh, just to say that again. Zoom
Wednesday,
on Wednesday,
Thursday, and Friday next week. So it's still 3 days a week now.
Okay, so Tuesday, would that be where I send you a little video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll send a video of me doing the axes of symmetry on Tuesday, and I'll give you a bit of homework. Well, I'm